What are you smiling at?
You look really good today.
Oh, stop it.
I'm serious. Come walk with me.
Everyone at Aurelia Private University thought Zainab Bello and Ibrahim Sadiq were already dating. They walked everywhere together, sat beside each other during lectures, shared meals together, shared jokes, and even shared silence together. What nobody knew was that loving each other was the one line they were both afraid to cross. The campus came alive every evening. Soft yellow lights lined the walkways, reflecting off glass buildings and neatly trimmed lawns. Students moved in clusters, laughter echoing between hostels, music playing faintly from someone's speaker. The air smelled like different kinds of perfume, sugar, and barbecue. Zainab sat on the low concrete wall outside the female hostel, her knees drawn to her chest, her phone resting loosely in her palm. She wasn't scrolling on her phone. She was waiting. "You are going to fuse with that wall one day," a voice said. She smiled before she even looked up. Ibrahim stood in front of her, his backpack slung over one shoulder, his white long-sleeve shirt rolled up to his elbows, his tie loosened like someone who had stopped trying halfway through the day. "You are late," Zainab said, holding her hands on her waist playfully. "I said I was coming after class." Ibrahim said softly. "You said 30 minutes ago." Zainab replied, pouting. He shrugged, dropping down beside her easily. Their shoulders brushed lightly, in a familiar and comfortable. "That lecturer enjoys suffering," he said. "I swear." Zainab laughed softly. That laugh always did something to him. They had been friends since their first week in 100 level. They met during the freshers' registration chaos. They stood in the same line for hours, complained about ridiculous fees, accommodation, food, and life in general. Somewhere between survival and laughter, they became inseparable. Not loud friends, not dramatic friends, the quiet kind, the kind that stayed. They walked toward the campus cafe together. Some students passed them, some nodding, some staring at them. A group of girls walked by, and one whispered loudly enough for Zainab to hear. "That's her boyfriend, oh." Zainab felt the familiar tightening in her chest. Ibrahim didn't react, or pretended not to. Inside the cafe, they shared a plate of rice like they always did. Zainab pushed the chicken toward him. "You know I don't like that part," she said. "And you know I'll eat it," he replied. He watched her as she ate. The way her brows pulled together slightly when she concentrated. The way she chewed slowly like she wasn't in a hurry to be anywhere else. "You are quiet today," he said. "Am I?" she asked calmly. "You only get quiet when you are thinking too much." She looked away, suddenly interested in the table. Across the room, a girl waved at Ibrahim. She was tall, pretty, and confident. The kind of girl who knew she would be noticed. Ibrahim raised his hand in acknowledgement. Zainab smiled, but something in her eyes dimmed. Later that night, they sat on the floor of Zainab's hostel room. Books spread everywhere. Ibrahim lay on his back, staring at the ceiling fan. "If I fail this course," he said lightly, "my mother will disown me." "You will pass, Ibrahim," Zainab replied without looking up. "You always say that," he smiled. "Because you always do," she smiled. He turned his head to look at her. She felt his gaze and finally met it. Their hearts were beating so fast. For a moment, neither of them spoke. There were too many things sitting between them. Unsaid, unclaimed, unadmitted. He stood up slowly. "Good night, Zainab." "Good night," she replied. He hesitated at the door, just for a second. Then he walked out. Zainab sat there long after the door closed, her chest heavy with a feeling she refused to name, because naming it would change everything. Zainab first noticed it during a group presentation. She sat 2 rows behind Ibrahim, half listening as another group presented. Her attention drifted the moment a girl slid into the empty seat beside him. The girl leaned in too close, whispering something into Ibrahim's ear. He smiled. Not the polite smile he gave strangers, the relaxed one. The one Zainab thought belonged only to her. Her fingers tightened around her pen. She told herself not to pay attention to it. She looked anyway. The girl laughed softly and touched Ibrahim's arm slowly, her fingers lingering on his arm just a second too long. Zainab's chest burned. She looked away quickly, focusing on the whiteboard, but the words became blurred. A dull ache settled behind her ribs. She hated it. She hated that she had no right to feel this way. After class that day, they walked back from class together, side by side as always. You were too quiet in class today. What's up with you? Ibrahim said casually. Just tired, she replied sharply. The response stung Ibrahim on the chest. He glanced at her. Are you sure? She nodded. He let it go. That hurt more than if he had pressed. As they reached the hostel junction, the same girl from class waved towards them. Ibrahim, she called out. He turned. See you later, Zainab, he said, already stepping away. Zainab forced a smile. Yeah, later. She watched him walk off. And for the first time since she met him, she felt like she was watching someone drift out of reach. That night, Zainab lay awake staring at the ceiling. Her roommate slept soundly beside her. Zainab's mind replayed the day on a loop. The laugh, the touch, the way Ibrahim hadn't noticed her discomfort. Or maybe he had, and chose not to ask. Her throat tightened. She turned on her side, hugging her pillow like it could ground her. You are just his friend, she reminded herself. Friends didn't get jealous. Friends didn't imagine what his hand would feel like if it was theirs being held. She squeezed her eyes shut. When Ibrahim started pulling away, the distance didn't announce itself. It crept in quietly. Ibrahim stopped coming to her hostel as often. Their late-night study sessions were shortened. Their laughter thinned. When she asked if he was okay, he smiled and said, yeah, just busy. Busy had never sounded like that before. One afternoon, Zainab walked into the campus cafe and froze. Ibrahim sat at their usual table. With her, that same girl that had been causing her sleepless nights. The girl's head tilted toward him as she spoke. Ibrahim listened intently, his chin resting on his hand. Zainab stood there for too long. When Ibrahim looked up, their eyes met, and for a split second, something flickered across his face. Surprise? Guilt? Or relief? He stood up halfway as he called out. Zainab. She smiled quickly and replied with, I was just leaving. She turned before he could say anything else. Her heart pounded painfully as she walked away. The rain started suddenly that evening. It was heavy, cold, and relentless. Zainab walked quickly, trying to outrun the tightness in her chest. Zainab, he called out. She stopped. Ibrahim jogged up behind her, rain already soaking his shirt. Why did you leave like that? She laughed bitterly. Why shouldn't I? He frowned. What's wrong with you lately? You've been acting really weird, he added. She turned to face him, tears welling up in her eyes. What's wrong with me? Rain streaked down her face, mixing with the tears she had been holding back for weeks. You disappear, Ibrahim, she said. You show up with other girls. You stop talking to me like you used to. And then you act surprised when I don't smile about it. He stared at her. I didn't know it bothered you. Her voice cracked. That's the problem, Ibrahim. You never know. Silence stretched between them, filled only by the sound of rain hitting concrete. He stepped closer, staring into her eyes with passion as he asks, why does it bother you so much? She shook her head. Don't. Tell me. Ibrahim pressured. I can't. Why? Her breath trembled. Because if I say it, everything changes. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. Say it anyway. She stepped back as she said, just forget it. And then, she walked away, leaving him standing there in the rain. After that day, they stopped talking. Not officially, just quietly. No calls. No late-night study sessions. No shared meals. Campus felt different. Empty. Ibrahim felt it the most when something funny happened, and he instinctively reached for his phone, then remembered she wasn't there anymore. Zainab buried herself in work, but absence was louder than presence. Ibrahim ended things with the girl he was seeing. Not dramatically, just honestly. Because every conversation with her led back to Zainab, and it felt wrong. Because everything led back to Zainab. He realized something terrifying. She wasn't just his best friend. She was his home, and he had been careless with it. Graduation approached faster than either of them expected. One evening, Ibrahim found Zainab sitting on the same wall where they used to wait for each other. Can we talk? He asked softly. She nodded but didn't look at him. I was scared, he said. Scared of wanting you and ruining what we had. Her fingers curled into her skirt. I thought if I pretended I didn't feel it, it would go away. She finally looked at him. And did it? He shook his head. It only got worse. Silence wrapped around them. I love you, he said quietly. I think I always have. I just didn't know how to choose you without losing you. Her breath caught. She laughed through tears. I loved you so much it hurt, she whispered. I just didn't think you would ever see me the same way. He stepped closer, looking into her eyes as he said, I see you now. Then, he leaned in for a kiss. She didn't pull away. Their lips met, slowly and careful at first, like something fragile they were both trying to protect. Then, it deepened, passionately, intense, like they've waited for this moment all their lives. The campus lights glowed softly around them, the night humming with life. When they finally pulled apart, Zainab rested her forehead against Ibrahim. So, she said softly, smiling. What now? He smiled back. Now we stop pretending. Dating Ibrahim didn't feel new. It felt familiar and comforting, like coming home after a long journey. They studied together again, walked hand in hand this time, laughed louder, argued honestly, loved gently. On graduation day, Ibrahim held her hand tightly as they walked across the stage. We almost messed this up, he whispered. Zainab smiled. But we didn't. They walked forward together. Best friends. Lovers. A story that had always been waiting for courage.